Arsalan Iftikhar, he's a senior fellow at Georgetown University and a human rights lawyer. He joins us via Skype from Washington, D.C. Arsalan, President Trump says the shooting is a horrible thing, but he has an extremely tight relationship with the Saudis. So what sort of diplomatic impact is this likely to have then between the two countries, and how sensitive is it?
Well, Darren, to be honest with you, I think that it's going to have very little diplomatic impact between the United States and Saudi Arabia, mainly because of Donald Trump's very tight relationship with both King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, better known as MBS. I think the bigger impact is going to be on Islamophobia here in the United States. You're already seeing many right-wing conservative Republican lawmakers, both within Florida and nationwide, calling this an act of terrorism when we see these sorts of same mass shootings happening on a daily basis. According to the Gun Violence Archive, as of December 1st this year, there have actually been more mass shootings in the United States than there have been days. There have been 385 mass shootings and 335 days. Just yesterday, a day before this Pensacola shooting, there was a mass shooting in Pearl Harbor base in Hawaii. But since that perpetrator was not a Muslim, that wasn't called an act of terrorism. So my concern more so, Darren, is with this being used as a political football by many right-wing conservative politicians here than it is on the diplomatic relations.
Arsalan, Florida's governor says there's obviously going to be a lot of questions asked about the shooter. We know he's a foreign national, he's part of the Saudi Air Force, and obviously he was training on US soil. What sort of questions then will this shooting itself throw up, do you think?
Well, I think the main question from a logistical standpoint, Darren, is obviously going to be in terms of how he was vetted to enter the base. Most people who enter military installations here in the United States, their names are run against FBI criminal databases, probably for foreign nationals against Interpol criminal databases. But unless you have a criminal record, unless you have an outstanding warrant or a felony, you're probably not going to show up. And somebody who served in the armed forces of a foreign nation probably did not have any sort of criminal record that would have shown up on an Interpol or an FBI database.
Arsalan, I want to pick you up on something you mentioned earlier, because one congressional representative in Florida says this indeed is a terrorist incident and not just workplace violence. But foreign military trainees have been studying in Pensacola, we know, for decades. So is anything likely to change, do you think?
The short answer is no. I think that the long answer, Darren, is trying to understand, how things are framed here in the United States within the media when we see these sorts of mass shootings. According to a 2019 University of Alabama study here in the United States, they found that when a mass shooting is committed by a Muslim, that receives 357% more media coverage than a mass shooting committed by a non-Muslim. Oftentimes, when we see mass shootings committed by people who are not Muslims, the term terrorism is immediately removed from the discussion. But again, anytime there is an Arab or a Muslim who commits a mass shooting, the term terrorism, the framing of terrorism shows up in the media framework. And I think that is what is the most disconcerting thing here.
All right, Arsalan Iftikhar there from Georgetown University. Thank you very much indeed for talking to Al Jazeera.
My pleasure, Darren. Thank you.